right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. What a fun episode. What an informative episode that was with Nick Sapiro on Sports Cards Live. So thanks, everybody, for joining the chat, for throwing us your comments and questions. I learned a lot, covered some interesting topics for sure. Was glad to have Nick on, and from the reaction you all had in the chat, I know that was something that you all really enjoyed. So glad that we could bring Nick to you, and be sure to check out his Hobby Quick Hitters project and watch him on the panel on the Collectible TV YouTube channel as well. That's also where you can find Collectible Live, which I do every Sunday, but not this Sunday, not tomorrow, because I am going to be watching the Super Bowl tomorrow. Looking forward to it. All right. So this episode of After Hours, we are going to do something different, as you know, if you read the episode description, but I do have several comments. Now, these are not comments from the live chat. Albert Jones, if you are watching, anything from the live chat is not what I'm talking about. These are comments that were left on the videos afterwards by people who watched them, what I like to call in syndication, after the live was done. So Albert Jones, you might not need to watch because I didn't get any of your comments here, but I got some other ones. Before we start off that, there's some other things we're going to do. As here, 1 second, I'm just going to do that quickly. As Troy asks, any recent pickups to show us people? Well, yeah, let's start off with that. I do have some pickups because I went to the local monthly card show this morning for about an hour, and I bought some cards. I did two deals. One was a one card deal, and the other one was a lot. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards I bought. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do was and I didn't know I wanted to do this until I was at the show this morning, but I wanted to pick up rookie cards of the 2 quarterbacks from tomorrow's game. I didn't know that until I got there this morning. And I got there this morning, and one of the first cards I saw, not one of the first ones I saw, but I saw this Joe Burrow Donruss Optic Prism, pink something or other, pink prism, something like that. Actually, I can tell you what it's called because I broke it out of the grade, the slab it was in. So this is the 2020 Panini Donruss Optic Pink Prism, rated rookie number 151. And this was graded this was the label in the grading slab that I broke out today. So this is, you can't really see the name of the company there, but it's called HOFG.ca grading, I believe. I think it's a Canadian company because it's a .ca. Yeah, Hall of Fame grading. So I don't know anything about these guys at all. I did scan the QR code and went to their website, but didn't have a lot of time to check it out. In any event, I broke it out because I wanted to be able to put it beside the other cards. So once I saw this at the card show today, I was then dealing with the guy I often buy cards from at the show. So this card came from a gentleman by the name of Mark. So thank you, Mark. But I found my Matt Stafford rookie, which is a beautiful card. This is the refractor out of 199 from Topps Finest. It's just a beautiful piece of cardboard. Once I saw that Jim had this and I remembered Mark had the Burrow, I thought, okay, I'm going to try and get them both. So I picked this up in a lot from Jim, who I often buy cards from. So that's the first 2. Tomorrow's 2 starting quarterbacks, pretty like lowish end rookie cards. And but I'm going to have these out with me tomorrow, and I'm going to go over why I bought these a little bit later. Okay. Next up, along with the Stafford, I bought these cards. So let's just go in whatever order they're in my hands. The first one is a 2009-10 SP game used by the letter Martin Brodeur. So this is the R from Brodeur off a game worn jersey by the letter. Pretty old as far as these letter cards go, from 2009. So I thought that's a pretty cool card, and I'll be able to find the right Brodeur collector who would like to have this. So I did not buy this for myself. This was bought for my trader box, for my card show showcases, that kind of thing. By the letter Martin Brodeur, numbered 2 of 7. Pretty cool card. The next card I bought, also from Jim, is a 2015-16 Upper Deck Premier Mega Patch chest logos of Jaromir Jagr, a very popular player, one of the best of all time. And this is numbered out of 22. It looks like an all-star jersey. You can even tell he's pictured in his all-star jersey in the top of the card. So that's a pretty cool card that Jim had in his showcase. And I decided to take a stab at it, and that stab was successful. So we now have this, again, a card not for my personal collection, but I know that there's lots of Jagger collectors out there, and this will come in handy at an upcoming card show. Next up is this card here. This is from 2017-18 SP Game Used. This is an Owen Tippett rookie sweaters. This is it's like an RPA. It's a sticker auto, but the patch, if you can tell, that's the Panther's head at the bottom. That's the Panther's eyeball. And I thought that's a pretty cool patch. Owen Tippett is he's not a top liner, but he's got potential. He's got 15 points or so this season, 8 goals, and he could have some success down the road. So for the price I got it for, I thought, you know what, I'll take it. That patch is pretty cool. It's numbered out of 49. Next up, 3 more to go. Also from Jim, this is a 2011-12 SP Authentic limited auto patch of Patrick Kane, and it is a short print out of 25. These are usually and most often out of 100, but the Kane this year is out of 25. Really a beautiful, like just the perfect blue, bold autograph, decent 2-color patch of a player who may be the best American-born hockey player of all time. Next up, another Patrick Kane card. This card, as well as the Owen Tippett, were kind of like the final 2 cards to get the deal done. It's like, okay, I'll top up my cash offer by this amount if you include these 2 cards. So one was the Owen Tippett, and the other one was this. This is also an SP Game Used. This is a Number Marks. This is from 2008-9, also a Patrick Kane. So it's an autographed, manufactured patch, numbered out of 25. And then finally, this card is a 2000. It's so hard to see. It's so small. 2000. I think it's. I can't even tell. 9-10. 2009-10 from Upper Deck Ice signature swatches. Sidney Crosby with a beautiful autograph that's put up. That's up against a white jersey. So it's an acetate top layer where the autograph is, with a piece of white jersey in there, as you can see, as some people, we call those napkins in some circles. But what I really like about the card is if you turn it over, you can see the jersey on the back too. The acetate, the window is cut out on both sides. So pretty cool. And just a beautiful Crosby autograph. I mean, look at that thing. So those were the cards that I picked up at the card show. And then one more card I'll show you guys. There's a card that I actually kind of moved. I bought a collection back in August, a pretty big collection. And I realized only a few days ago in talking to my buddy Sam, who was inquiring about this card, I realized that I collect this set and I didn't have this card yet. This player has 2 cards in the set, and I didn't realize that I had the other. I had his card from another team. Anyway, this is from 2011-12 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection premium swatches. This is Jaromir Jagr. Again, this is for my personal collection. These are out of 25. This is like a 50 or so card set. I've got 30 something of them now. And the other Jagr is pictures him in Washington. So that's why I was confused, but added this to my personal collection from my inventory, or my trader box, if you will. So that was pretty cool. And those are my recent pickups. So keep on going. Tony Sin, any Fedorov PSA 10 inserts? I don't think so, Tony. I don't think so. But I was watching an old game from the 90s yesterday. Had it on the TV, and it was a playoff game between St. Louis, Detroit, and Detroit won that game. It was being played on like TSN up here, a retro game, and Fedorov was awesome in that game. Baseball card curmudgeon, welcome to the show. Jeremy Stein, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Albert Jones, glad you enjoyed the show before. Buzzy, yeah, that was a great show. I thought it was great too. Nick has no problem telling it like it is. Yeah, he was great. He was legit for sure. Hear that, fellas? Jeremy doesn't like us. When did I say that, Bird? When did I say that, Julian? I don't remember saying that or alluding to it. Jake's Toe says, yeah, check it out later. Check it out later for sure. Oh my God, grading. Yeah, so I did break that Joe Burrow card out of the slab, and this is what the slab looks like. I basically took a flat edge screwdriver to the top and a hammer, and I just hammered it until I could get the screwdriver in the flat edge and then kind of open it up along the borders. And I have no problem doing that. No damage whatsoever to the card at all. Yes, Troy, one of those guys is going to win his first Super Bowl. That's called hedging your bets, right? Hedging your bets. Collection M, SML, Burrow all the way. Peeps, what is going on? Good to have you back, Steve Sir. Welcome to the show. Hockey guy, does it say what year the All-Star Game jersey is on the Jagger card? Does it say? I don't see it on there. I don't see that it says. Oh, it does actually. Yes, it does. It does because of that little logo right there. I can't read it. It's too small, but I do believe that would be very indicative of what year it was. Thank you, peeps. Appreciate that. Thank you, Troy. Richie Barone, the mayor of Canada, is in the house from Long Island, New York. What is going on, my brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. Peeps wants to know, is Patrick Kane going down as the best U.S.-born player? I don't know. I mean, you got Mike Modano. He's definitely up there. You've got Brett Hull, may not be U.S. born, but he's definitely a U.S. citizen. Brian Leach, you've got a handful. I think Patrick Kane might be the highest scoring U.S. born player of all time by the time he's done. Highlanders, any reason why Patrick Waugh doesn't get more hobby love? He gets hobby love. That's the thing. He does get hobby love, and the Montreal fans are rabid for his stuff. So I think he does get the love, actually. Now, maybe not as much as a Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky or Bobby Orr, but he gets his fair share as far as what I've seen over the years. Highlanders. Thank you, Brendan Ryan. Thank you, Troy's Collectibles. Oh, here we go. Hockey guy says he gets the love and his Montreal stuff does better. I have some Islanders in my collection, Richie. You know I do. You know what I do. Hockey guy says Patrick Waugh is a love-hate type player, too, for the general hobby populace. Chad Shipper, what is going on? Merry Super Bowl to you as well. Definitely. Thank you, Ian Undercover. Appreciate that. Troy says, did you need to watch Flipping Steve's video on how to break open a slab? I don't need to watch anybody's video on how to break open a slab. I've broken open all the company's slabs and can do it with relative ease. Matthews could end up being better than Kane. Yes, agree. He definitely could. Chris Chelios, yeah, he's definitely up there, but I wouldn't put him ahead of Patrick Kane at this point in time. Darren says, think T. Higgins gets put on the map tomorrow, feeling of breaking out. Could be. Lee Haskins, great to have you back, Lee. One of your comments is in the subject of tonight's episode. And Ian Undercover says, I PC Patrick Waugh, and I'm in Boston. Oh my God, don't let Eric Sanderson to Orr hear that. He will not appreciate it. But Ian, great to have you, and good for you for PCing Patrick Waugh. He has some beautiful cards. That red, white, and blue logo on a patch can be just stunning. Guys, tomorrow night after the Super Bowl, if you weren't on the previous show, I'll bring it up again. Rollin' with FD. That's the name of this gentleman's YouTube channel. Again, Rollin' with FD. Let me throw it up onto the ticker right now. There you go. So he is hosting a Super Bowl after party tomorrow night with several content creators, as you can see on the screen right now. He's doing it in 2 tranches, and I will be on with him for about half an hour starting at, I think it's 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I have to sneeze. Hold on. Mute. There we go again. I hit the button, but it didn't unmute. Thanks, guys. I don't know you did it. Okay, back to the comment. I'm going to start over again. FD is a good dude. Yes, he is. Albert said that Carlos guy is going to be there. Yes, he is. He's right here. And there's many people on. There's two tranches. I do believe Carlos is on the second tranche. I'm on the first one, and several people will be on there. So should be a good time. FD, a good dude. Yes, I don't know much about FD. I've only seen a little bit of his content, but I'm looking forward to going on and learning more about him. I didn't unmute. Mute. Still muted. Unmute. Still muted. Mike. Mute. You guys are very helpful. Oh no, he did it again. LOL. Mute. Who remembers the last time? You're muted. Mute. Mic check. LOL. 2 mute issues within the hour. Rookie move. That is a rookie move. LOL. LOL. Live stream bloopers. Mute. Live stream bloopers. Mute. Okay. Wow, you guys had fun with that. I'm glad you did. All right. Sorry about that. I thought I was going to sneeze. I hit the button again. Like there's the button. There's the mute button right there. Sometimes you hit it and it works. Sometimes you hit it and you got to make sure that it stops blinking. So my bad. Maybe I need a new mic. Who knows? All right. Let me see what else I had on the agenda for this episode. So first thing I'm going to do, and this isn't related to the comments that we're going to get to, but I'm going to I'm going to talk about those 2 quarterback rookies that I bought today at the card show. And I'm going to bring up a post that I actually made on Instagram today talking about it because I think it's interesting. I had fun writing this post, and I wanted to explain kind of why I bought these cards, because I did something which is really contrary to advice I don't want to say advice I've given, but to how I approach the hobby, and something that I don't usually do, which is buy cards the day before the biggest game that these players have ever played in, such that there's hype built in and the prices are higher than probably ever before. So now I don't follow the market on these players, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy these cards today, despite the fact that they're probably more expensive today than they've ever been, which is, again, something that I say, the worst time to buy a card is like right before the season starts, right before the playoffs. Those are times to sell. That's when values are at their highest. Everyone has high expectations for their teams and their favorite players right before the season, right before the playoffs, right before the Super Bowl. So I bought these 2 cards I showed earlier, a Matt Stafford rookie and a Joe Burrow rookie, and I think they look beautiful together. They're both very shiny. My eyes were caught by both of them. But again, it's not something that I usually do. So I want to explain why I did it. But first, Mark says, how was the card show? I was there for an hour. It was okay. It's a small local. It's the same vendors pretty much every time. Darren says, what crazy revelation are we going to be treated to tonight? Yeah, you had the hair pick last week. Tonight you get the no hair Jer. No hair Jer tonight. Jer with hair last week. Albert Jones, well, if you got money to burn, I got some Crosbys. And Jake says, after tomorrow, one of them will be the highest price they've ever been. So interesting. So here we go. Here's the post that I put up onto I put up onto Instagram earlier today. Pickups from the monthly local this morning. I went against my own advice and bought cards of players at the height of their hype the day before they go head to head in the biggest game of their lives. So why would I do that? Why would I buy cards at their peak? So here's the reasons why I did this. Here's the reasons why I went sort of against my own advice. First of all, having them in hand during the game tomorrow will enhance my experience of watching the game. I truly believe that. I think tomorrow, I'm going to take it off so you guys don't read ahead. I think tomorrow, I'm going to have these cards. My wife and I are having a couple over. We're going to order in some food. We're going to watch the game together. And I'm going to take these 2 cards. And I'm going to put them onto these little stands. And I'm going to put them underneath the TV so that I'm watching the game and I see the cards. I'm going to get a kick out of that. I'll probably take a picture of it and share it on Instagram or something too. So I think that'll be fun. I'm going to show these cards to the gentleman who's coming over tomorrow. And it's going to be fun teaching him a little bit about the hobby, because he's not a hobbyist at all. Doesn't know much about it, I'm assuming. So that'll be fun. So that was reason number 1. I feel like owning these cards for one day tomorrow is going to enhance my experience tomorrow during the Super Bowl. All right. Reason number 2, I spent money with 2 vendors at the show today, supporting the hobby, putting some money in, spreading some money around. So that one's pretty self-explanatory, right? I mean, listen, every time I go into an LCS, you kind of feel like you need to spend money because you went into the show, you went into the shop, the owner may kind of expect you to spend something, may not appreciate it if you don't. I mean, I've seen it all sorts of ways. Mike from Eastridge, who's in the chat, I mean, I go by his shop all the time. It's right near me. And once in a while I spend money, once in a while I don't. He's not the guy that puts pressure on you to do that. Some owners do. Some LCS owners likely do that. But I went to the show today, and it's nice to spread some money around if you have the money available to do that, and if you're buying cards you want. I wanted the cards, and it was just a nice sort of consequence was supporting a couple of vendors at the show today. So that was reason number 2. Before I get on to let's keep going. We'll come to the comments after. Reason number 3. I hedged my bets. One of these guys will win the Super Bowl tomorrow. The other is just starting what is shaping up to be an illustrious career. So I'm kind of making a joke there that Stafford's going to win. Of course, I don't know. That's what I'm hearing, but time will tell. But in any event, I bought both sides. I bought both sides of the bet, right? I bought the Burrow and I bought the Stafford. One of these guys is going to win the Super Bowl tomorrow. Pretty good hedge, right? Pretty good hedge. So that was reason number 3. Reason number 4. Here it comes. In the name of content, I get to make this post on Instagram. I will talk about it tonight on After Hours, as we're doing right now. I will have them in my hand tomorrow night during Rolling with FD's post Super Bowl party. So again, as I was making these decisions today at the card show, I'm thinking to myself, this is fun. I'm going to do an Instagram post. I'm going to talk about why I'm buying these cards, and I'm going to talk about them on Sports Cards Live and After Hours and Rolling with FD, which was just an added bonus. So that was reason number 4. And reason number 5, I absolutely love the looks of both of these cards. I do. The Stafford especially, the refractor effect is mesmerizing. I don't take that word lightly, and I'll show you it again. It's out of 199, while the Burrow is the pink prism version and is aesthetically beautiful to my eyes as well. So that was reason number 5. I just like the cards. If I like a card and I can afford to buy it and I want to buy it, I'm going to buy it. So that's what happened today. So overall, this is a fun opportunity to break one of my hobby rules, and that is one of the things about the hobby that is fun. We have the right to collect what we want when we want. Setting rules or criteria for what we add to our collections is good and helps us focus in a hobby with tons of options and shiny pennies everywhere. But these rules can be bent as we choose to allow. It is our own prerogative, each of us, to break our own rules and shift away from our focus once in a while. And I did it guilt-free today, and I encourage other people to do the same. Collect with focus, but allow yourself to be nimble and to stray every so often. It is okay. Have fun, keep calm, and hobby on. That was my post. And I had fun making that post. And I've had fun interacting with the comments on that post. So I wanted to share that. I thought that was, hey, I thought my own post was interesting. What can I say? Albert says, having wings and nachos will enhance his experience watching the Super Bowl. Yeah, mine too. We're going to be having some nachos as well. Darren's going to get himself a Cooper Cup rookie. Very good. Jordan Hagedorn joins us. Yes, long time no see, pal. Jordan just opened a card shop called About the Hobby in Wisconsin. Jordan, hope it's going well. I think it is. I'm seeing your content. Way to go. And thank you for popping in. Troy says, I display my Super Bowl quarterbacks by the TV also while watching. Thought I was the only one. There you go. Buzzy, you got me with reason number 2. Always justification. Spreading the money around. That was reason number 2. Hockey guy hopes Stafford wins. Justin Vick, great reasons. I've been resisting the urge of buying Burrow. Why am I torturing myself? Well, so I hedged. I bought a Burrow and a Stafford, and these weren't expensive. Well, they weren't expensive cards. They didn't break the bank, so I thought it was all right. Purple Haze says rules are made to be broken. Exactly. For the hobby, baby. Yes. Did I say about the hobby? I meant for the hobby. Thank you, Jordan. I'm glad you're still here. Julian says, Jeremy, you got to pick up some Aaron Donald now. I'm going to stick with the quarterbacks with tomorrow's Super Bowl, but we'll see what happens next year, Julian, for sure. All right. Next up on the agenda for After Hours tonight is some viewer comments. So, actually, no, not yet. First, we're going to quickly talk about this thing that happened in the hobby yesterday, right here. Nat Turner. We all probably, if not, we should know who Nat Turner is. Nat Turner is the managing owner of Collectors, I believe, Collectors Universe, now Collectors, the owner of PSA. And if you saw, Nat had a misjudgment the other day, leaving over $1 million worth of cards in his rental car in a locked garage, mind you, but overnight. Went in the morning, car was broken into, backpack was gone, containing, again, a big stack of cards worth over $1 million, and his like iPad. And it doesn't, now Nat is known for being a wealthy person in our hobby, but it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. When you lose cards that you really, really, really want, and you finally have, they're like priceless. You can't really, if some of them are so rare that he lost, it doesn't matter what the value was. You're more upset about losing the cards than the money, especially if you're, in his sort of financial arena. So I wasn't feeling bad for Nat that he lost $1 million worth of cards. I was feeling bad for Nat that he lost these cards that he had been hunting for so long and really wanted. He had them graded. He got them back. He made the mistake of leaving them in his car. They got stolen, but they were able to track them down by the GPS in the iPad. And the Irvine police, which is now a picture of him here with the police force, basically celebrating the recovery of over $1 million worth of cards. So, I mean, listen, on the one hand, you're like, wow, Nat, holy crap. What a stressful day that must have been. But congratulations, you found these cards, which are like your babies. You got them back, all of them. And I'm sure you got to think he bought the Irvine police lunch or something, right? Because what a relief. What a relief for him, no doubt. So congrats to Nat for getting these cards back, and for the Irvine police for working with him to find them. And I'm looking forward to maybe finding out what happens to the criminal or criminals who actually stole these cards from him and how that was really done, because it seems kind of strange that they break into a locked garage randomly and stealing a backpack out of Nat Turner's car. So in any event, I wanted to share that. I thought that was definitely something that is just interesting and very timely. This happened like 2 days ago. But again, congrats to him for getting them back. Let's go to the comments based on this, and then we're going to go to the viewer comments part of this episode. So Justin Vick says the lengths Nat will go for good content. Yeah, I doubt it, but I'm sure other people have made comments like that as well. Purple Hay says, the only way I'd leave those cards in my car is if my ride was a Brinks truck. Fair. Same here. Birds on the Bat says, well said. If Nat loses that Kevin Garnett PMG green, he very possibly never finds another. And he's been working on that set for a decade. And that is one of 7 he was missing. Yeah, the money isn't even the issue for him. It's the cards. And I get that. Yes, would have just been plainly devastating, right? You're thinking, I put myself in his shoes before I knew he was going to get them back, or he got them back. And you can feel the devastation for your fellow collector, your fellow hobbyist. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. I felt for the guy. He lost. I mean, it was, you feel it. You can feel it. And you're just glad that the collector gets them back for sure. For sure. Darren says, take my eyes, but not the shirt. Take the iPad, but not the slabs. No doubt. Thank you, Troy. My Flames are up 4-2. Great to hear. Purple Hay says, Nat might owe Tim Cook some free grading for that GPS. Jordan Hagedorn says, crazy that Rob from Burbank would want Nat's cards that bad. Good joke, Jordan. Good joke. And Lee Haskin says, just goes to show people with big cards are just like regular collectors keeping some cards in their car. Yeah, fair comment there too. Very fair. Okay, that covers off what I was calling in my notes, Nat's near catastrophic loss. Catastrophic to the collection and to the journey of putting together the sets that he puts together. So, all right, let's now move on to some viewer comments, which I have to find again because I must have closed that window earlier on. So I am going to get to those right now and bring up the comments. And the first comment, now I will admit, I've taken a page out of Chris Sewell's book, Baseball Card Collector, Investor, Dealer. I've seen him do this on some of his episodes before. And the reason why I say he took a page out of his book, I didn't realize I was taking a page out of his book until I figured out how to put a box around the comment that I wanted to highlight. And I thought to myself, oh, that looks a lot like how Chris Sewell adds slabs into his video. So we'll bring up the first one in just a moment. Joe Perot says, brings to the forefront the importance of tracking devices. Huge that it was in play. Definitely. Jordan, thank you. See you soon. Enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow. All right. Next PSA innovation, GPS tracking. Right, I was thinking about that. Adding GPS tracking to the slab itself somehow. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a nice security feature. Definitely. Okay. So the first topic, the first comment that we're going to talk about that's going to lead to a topic came from a viewer by the name of Justin Vick. And this was left on the episode last week with Tim Getch, where Tim Getch, the CEO of ComC. But the topic or the comment is a little bit different. So here we go. I'm going to add it up. And it's down here in the red box. I realize it's a little bit small. I might not have cut these out properly, so I will try and improve that next time. But he writes, believe it or not, NFTs provided the bridge for me to ComC. I stopped buying cards and started buying sports NFTs after the post office lost eBay packages. But after learning about the storage options at ComC on YouTube, I gave them a try. Great user experience and fun way to explore cards you didn't know existed. I don't care as much about having the cards in hand as I used to. I've since ditched NFTs and just collect on ComC right now. So the reason, Justin, there you are. This is your comment. Justin. You made it on the after show. You did. And you did because I liked this comment. And here's why not that I liked it, but I found it interesting. It was a perspective I'd never considered. The perspective being that you are someone who came into sports cards from NFTs. I haven't heard of that before. I've heard of people going from sports cards to NFTs, but I hadn't heard of people coming the other way. And that's why I want to shine a light on the comment, because I found it really interesting that you went away from sports cards because lost packages on eBay. That'll leave a bitter taste in your mouth. You went to digital collecting. And it's not that you weren't in sports cards before. You went cards to NFTs, back to cards, because you realized you could collect on ComC. So a great plug for ComC right there. And you also don't care so much about having the cards in hand as you used to. So I just thought there's two sort of themes there. Again, one is, you're coming from NFT to cards and you care less about having your cards in hand, whereas a lot of collectors are the opposite. They want to have the cards in hand, myself included, but I'm willing to be a bit of a hybrid in there as well. So all that said, I thought it was an interesting comment, Justin. Again, some perspectives that I hadn't considered or thought about before. And I throw this comment up for any discussion that might come from the crowd, from the chat based on this particular comment. Have any of you guys sort of switched over to a ComC or giving everything to the PWCC vault because you are willing to not have your cards in hand anymore, like Justin Vick has done? So with that, thank you, Justin Vick, for dropping the comment on the video. I appreciate that. And let's see what we have. A couple comments. Yourself, you say ComC's concept wasn't appealing to you before, but the NFTs warmed you up to the remote vault. Really interesting right there. Like I share this. I share the comment. We share your comment, your post here tonight, Justin, with everybody, just to share the perspective that just because we as individual collectors might have our position as to, I don't want any NFTs. I don't want my cards in any vault. I don't want fractional because I want my cards in hand. It's a fair position. I'm not going to judge anybody for it. But to say that any other way is wrong, I just think is kind of closed-minded, unfair, and just, it kind of throws other people's approaches to their hobby, kind of insults it to a degree. And I'm not a fan of that. So I'm a fan of everybody having their own approach and their own opinion and believing in what they do. But I'm not a fan of saying that other people's approaches are lesser or not as valid or anything like that. And that's kind of why I want to share this one. So thank you for the comment, Justin. Jessman says, ComC seems to be only getting better. I really dig the service they offer and use them often. Very cool. Mark Santucci says, I like cards in my hand, just like I like CDs, not music in my phone. Fair. We are all entitled. Albert Jones, what happened to Karn and his endeavor? I believe his endeavor was called Liquid Marketplace, and I believe it is still happening. Skeppy says you would have privacy policy issues by adding a tracking device into a consumer product. Plus, you would not want people knowing where certain cars are located. Good comment. There we go. That's why we got to talk these things out for sure. For sure. Lee Haskins, I personally have to own the card in my hand. I know others do not, and that's fine. And it's those last three words that I respect the comment, Lee, and that's fine. We are all entitled to our own opinions, our own positions, our own approaches, but let's try not to slam others just because we don't understand it or it's not our chosen path. Latrell Sprewell says, what do you make of the robbery of Nat Turner's cards and the whole story? Do we know more? Here's what I make of it. I know what I know from what I've seen, and when more information goes public, we will have more to dissect and analyze if we learn more. The fact that we have a picture of Nat with the whole police service makes me think that there's nothing weird going on there. Purple Haze says, I need my cards in hand so I can enjoy them in person. I'm mainly a collector, so I'm sure that's part of it. Fair comment. Fair comment. Tony says, I live in Japan, so all my cards go to PWCC Vault. I list them at 300% over what I paid and sell some, then eventually send to myself when I go back to Canada twice a year. And I think the reason why you're listing them at 300% over what you paid is because you're like, okay, if someone wants to buy it, I'll buy it back for cheaper. But I also, it's my not for sale price. And I understand putting a not for sale price on some cards. Philly Joe, I keep my PC purchases on ComC for about 1 year before asking for a massive shipment. That's how I do it too, Philly Joe. I buy on there every so often, and then I take a shipment about once a year as well. And Dallas Money says the hobby only gets stronger with different collectors with different approaches. Guys, screenshot that comment. That is exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, to me, listen, my opinion is that comment is exactly right. I said Dallas Money, Dallas Mooney. Great comment. I completely agree. Darren says I was big into ComC, did little flips. It slowed, still shop around there, but having to buy store credit. M Perk says I just took everything I had on Star Stock down and shipped them home. I've tried it now, and I don't need cards in other locations. Yeah, fair. Lee says I'll say my best cards of value are in a bank safety deposit box, so I only visit them every now and then, so they're not always on hand. See, that's another thing that, you know, if I was having this debate with somebody who says I want my cards physically, but then you put them in a safety deposit box at the bank, well, you don't have them anymore. They're in the bank's possession now. So you likely have a picture on your phone, which you look at, which is in effect the same thing as looking at it on ComC or a PWCC Vault or an NFT for that matter. But I understand, you do have the ability to then go to the bank and see them whenever you want. It's kind of like going to visit a relative in prison. That's where your cards are. They're in bank safety deposit box prison. The Highlander says the card needs to be in hand, and if it's signed, it must be hard signed, no stickers. Yeah, we are free to put whatever rules we want on our own collecting. Definitely. And M Perk says, anytime I get a little burnt out, I take a break, and then it's going through everything I have on hand that gets me rolling again. I hear that, M Perk. I do the same thing. You know, a lot of my cards are in the 2-row boxes, and I don't look at them every day or every month. I kind of force myself to wait. I want to savor it. I want to look at them, you know, maybe once every 2 months or once a quarter, so that every time I look at them, I kind of forget some and I see them again for the first time. That's how I choose to hobby a lot of the time. All right. We will now move on to the next comment that we have that I've set aside. And this one right here, this is Lee Haskins' comment. This came from the episode again with ComC that we did with Tim Getch. And this one, I'm going to read it. So he says, I work in AI and photography for a defense company, and I can assure you that technology is there, just not commercially available. So we're talking about AI grading, computer grading by computer, taking the human subjectivity away from grading. So again, that's the context. He says, I work in AI and photography for a defense company, and I can assure you that technology is there. It's just not commercially available. Every aspect of a card defect can be detected. The problem will possibly be The grades will be lower than what the human would grade it because the detail will be multiples of what the human can see by eye under magnification. Borders, corners, centering, and surface will be supreme under AI. The eye appeal could be the only thing not perfect, which is what is mentioned in this video, which is the human aspect of seeing a card. So I share Lee's comment here because he works in AI and photography for a defense company. So he's bringing some knowledge to the hobby, to content, to Sports Cards Live that I can't, because I'm not in AI. I don't understand how AI works under the hood. I don't understand really photography under the hood. I'm sure I can point and shoot a camera, but that's about it. But the fact that Lee Haskins, who works in this industry, can tell us that he assures us the technology is there, it's just not commercially available. Well, that's great information. Makes you think that eventually we will have fully computerized or full AI grading. And I think that's interesting. And it's something that I haven't really seen somebody say for sure is possible to do from the perspective of someone who knows, who comes from that background. So I appreciated the comment, Lee. Really informative. And with that, I'm going to go to some comments here that have been coming in and see if anyone's talking about it. Justin Vick says, I would think Surface is the most vulnerable to AI catching microscopic gunk. I hear you, Justin. That's where my concern is too, is on the, you have any card, as long as the AI can see the card from all the different angles so that you can see any light scratches, any dimples, anything like that. But if Lee is assuring us that the technology is there, then it might be there for Surface too. What it might not be able to do, and it makes sense to me what Lee said, is that eye appeal. It's like taking everything into consideration with respect to how the card presents overall, all the aspects of it, and is it nicer than what the technical grade would provide? And if so, then any grading company that's going to be able to provide an AI grading service, I believe, would need to address the eye appeal as well as maybe the technical grade. Purple Hay says, I have a feeling high AI grade will one day command more money than a human graded card. I could see that as well, Purple Haze. Definitely could see that as well. Skeppy says, yeah, but who programs the AI? Humans. Fair, but that doesn't take away the ability to do it. What I find to be more interesting about programming the AI is how they're going to weight the defects. There has to be a weighting system where, how significant is the defect that is spotted, and how do you weigh it? How do you factor that into the algorithm that's going to spit out a final grade? And that's where I think you have something very interesting. Justin says, people want high grades, not accurate grades, right? Of course they do. However, in my mind, can see a way to build in a hybrid to that, where you get the technical grade, but then you get the eye appeal grade as a secondary number. I would personally value that. Albert says, I think it would be great to use both AI and human. That's what exactly, Albert. That's what I was just saying. I could see that happening. Hockey Guy says, AI can be given things to learn how to grade from. Okay. And Philly Joe says, cards will have a feel that AI doesn't. Jake's Toe says, going to have to regrade all the slabs out there now. Well, that'll be great news for the company that goes into this business one day, for sure. Any other comments on that? I mean, for me, it just provides some hope. Whether it's Genamint that was acquired, Kevin Linane is now the president of PSA. He founded Genamint, and collectors or PSA bought Genamint and now made Kevin the president of the company. So if Genamint, I don't know exactly what Genamint is, but I know it has fingerprinting technology. But does it have AI grading technology? I'm not sure. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe PSA will roll that out. If not PSA, then maybe a disruptor will come around and do it themselves. Time will tell. Hockey Guy says, just like AI, they've fed tons of stories to have it write a story. Lee says, here we go. The author of the comment says, AI would need the right angles of the card. There will need to be many angles. Microscopic issues will be found, which could make AI grades lower than human grades. So I'm not sure I like AI grading. Again, I think it comes down to that hybrid. You need the AI grade and then you need the eye appeal grade, because at the end of the day, that tells the story of the card to me. So I would value it. High Fades, welcome to the show, says AI might be able to do a quick review of the card, then it can be passed along to a human who gives it its final grade, could knock down time. I could see merit to that as well. And Merck says, I like the idea of AI for authentication purposes, but I think a human grader plus 2 quality assurances is going to be more accurate for a long time to come. Maybe, but anytime you have humans, you're going to have some level of inconsistency. I just don't know how I can get around that in my own head. So I could see there being a more consistent grading by AI, if as Lee says, it is possible, and then again a human grade to bring it all home, and even at a higher grade, because AI is often, it's like PWCC with their eye appeal designations. It's all about eye appeal, which is its own subgrade, if you will. All right. Well, thank you again to Lee for that comment on the video. Again, I'm only bringing in comments that were not from the chats, the live chats. These are only from the videos themselves. Purple Hay says, will AI solve the backlog issues? Great question. Great question. Darren says, you think they dial that down a bit? I'd imagine people losing their minds when comparing an old 10 to a too scrutinous AI graded card. Yeah, it would be a disruptor for sure, I believe. All right, cool. The next one. Now, this one has to do with supply chain issues in the hobby right now. And the fact that, I heard today that Upper Deck had to push back the release date of Series 1, which usually comes out in November, is now pushed back from like the end of February to March of this year. And I saw a comment somewhere today on social media saying, Upper Deck has to get its act together, when really it's kind of beyond their control. I think most people understand that now, that the pandemic has had widespread impacts on supply chains, and the sports card hobby, unfortunately, is not immune to that. We are right in there, and it's hurt a lot of companies in the hobby, including the card companies who have to put out cards, as the supply of paper and the foils and other inputs, I'm sure, that they use to make cards are stuck on barges or what have you. So we had a comment that came in, and I'm going to bring it up right now. Before I do, though, I'll just bring up a final comment. Albert says, anything judged is always questionable, from cards to figure skating. Of course. So let's bring on the next comment again, which has to do with supply chain. Here it is. I know it's hard to read, so I'll read it, but this is from Chris Olivo. He says, I work in the printing industry, and right now nobody can get paper because of the supply chain issues. We have jobs on hold because we just can't get certain stocks clients are requesting. We talk to our suppliers, and they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel for now. Every printer across the country is going through the same problem, so nobody is losing business to a competitor. The jobs are just being put on the shelf and are simply on hold until their stock comes in. I don't want to get political, but this is why the country needs to produce more of its own goods instead of outsourcing to foreign with cheaper labor. All of the shortages during the pandemic are a result that it's not made here in the US. That's why there are no new automobiles being sold, because that chip is manufactured overseas. So again, thank you, Chris Olivo, for the comment. And again, the reason why I bring up this comment is because Chris works in the printing industry. So he isn't just some armchair quarterback collector like myself sitting on the sidelines throwing out criticisms to the companies, to Upper Deck and Topps and Panini, Leaf, or whomever, saying, get your act together. He says everybody's going through this in the industry, in the economy right now, not just card companies. And I highlight it because I see comments, I see attacks on some companies that need paper to produce products for our hobby, or other supplies, other types of foils and that are also also victim to supply chain issues, without realizing that there's nothing they can do. Do you think these card companies want to wait until they can get the product out there? Is that what they want? No, of course it's not what they want to do. So again, just highlighting it from somebody who works in printing to give us some good information from what I believe to be, unless Chris is lying and he doesn't work in it, but I'm going to trust him that he works in the printing industry and we are getting information from somebody who is in the know. Now, let's go to the comments and see what you guys think about this one. Ink Paper Wax Collector says, hockey delayed again. Wow, just one series this year, it seems. Well, no, they've already announced the extended series. So there will be series 1, 2, and extended again. It's just going to be late. And we can complain about it. You know, if you're somebody who likes to complain about it. You know, complaining seems to be rampant. Complain about it if you want. It's going to make you feel better. Complain if that's what you need to do. But you can also just understand that these things take time. We are in a unique situation still 2 years later into this pandemic. And hopefully people who collect these series every year are going to kind of just wait for them to come out and then put their sets together. And if not, fine. No one's forcing anybody to spend their money. No one's going to force you to open up your wallet. That's a choice we all have. I'm just saying I just don't think we really need to be blaming the card companies right now for delays in products being released. I might be wrong. And hey, if you want to, that's your prerogative. Go ahead and do it. But if I see it, I'll probably unfollow you because it's just not the way I choose to live. Hockey Guy says papers, foils, ink, print facility availability, etc. It's all exactly, Hockey Guy. It's all part of the issue. He says bring back crappy OPG stock, right? Right, for sure, because I think the foil is a big part of it right now. Mark says especially products like the One Touch. Yeah, top loaders. You think Ultra Pro is withholding top loaders because they're trying to create this false demand or something? No, they want to put them out there. But even they were challenged as well. Facebook user, anonymous Facebook user says, as long as the Canadian truckers aren't causing the delays. Well, I mean, that's relatively new compared to the delays, so I don't think that's the issue, but it's not helping the issue. That's probably for sure. Goes on to say, it's crazy to see all the older NHL releases that are getting cleared off my shelves with nothing new to replace it. Even U.S. shop owners are thirsty for previous NHL releases. Good point. If nothing else, it's helping shop owners clear out their backstock, sort of dead inventory. Ben Mitchell says, how is Leaf getting their stuff out? That's a great question for Brian Gray. Ink Paper Wax Collector says, Upper Deck AEW is delayed 4 to 5 months. Hockey must be getting close to that by now. Lee Haskins says, supply chain is real. I cracked a rim on my car. To get a new one is like 90 days plus to order a new one. It's crazy. Definitely. Lucky says that Leaf paid a serious premium to get the stock they needed. There you go. They dug into their bottom line to get it out, and probably anyway, I don't know what happened, but that's what we've heard. Hockey Guy says most industries are facing issues like this, which is no secret. I think everybody knows that this is across the whole economy right now. 2 family members work in manufacturing, and they have all kinds of delays and setbacks. Yeah, no doubt. Darren says maybe the card companies want to buy back some of our junk wax and sell retro packs. Repacks for sure. Collection SML says, I understand the issue, but maybe Upper Deck needs a new approach. They need to stop giving precise date and come out with something vague. I agree with that comment. I said that today. I said that at the card show today, that really Upper Deck, your best course of action is just not give a date. But I'm sure there's a reason why they have to give a date. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's something that they kind of have to say. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe they don't, but that's kind of what I think, because you would think that they wouldn't give a date because it's uncertain. But again, maybe they have to, and we can find out from them another time, perhaps. Marcus, what is going on? You love cards straight away. Good. There's cards from 1888 to 2020 that 21 you can go buy straight away on many platforms and many outlets. Jake's Toast says all collectors should recycle their junk wax to make new cards. Purple Hay says I'd be willing to donate my junk wax if Upper Deck wants to recycle it. Mike at Eastridge says Ultra Pro's manufacturer is busy trying to sell direct to stores at a much higher price. Wow, interesting. Buzzy, if you don't understand delays in these times, you don't understand life itself. Well said, Buzzy. Cracked Card says the truckers are out to fix the delays, not cause them. There we go. And the Highlanders says they need to ditch the extended series lane. Well, again, they don't need to ditch it, Highlanders. I can just fairly say you're wrong on that comment. Now, it's an opinion, understandable, but I know it was a good product for them last year, so they don't want to ditch it. It's not rookie driven, it's insert driven, which is another thing that I think a lot of hockey collectors don't necessarily have their head around. But again, I understand you'd like them to ditch it, and that's a fair opinion, but it's certainly not a fact that they need to. Mike Fruitman, what is going on? Great, Mike. You're a handsome dude without that beard, I got to tell you. Says, at least Upper Deck National Hockey Card Day is a go for February 26th. I see lots of extended walking out my door that day. I can't imagine what Canadian shop owners are going through. Yeah, well said, Mike. Well said all across the board there. Purple Haze says, if recycled junk wax is used, does that give new meaning to vintage stock? Very good. Lee says, I finally finished my spreadsheet of all my cards, and the summary has 33% are hockey. That's a good chunk for sure, Lee. Marcus says, let's not talk about the distributing problems. This is obvious. There are good things going on. Okay. Well, again, thanks to Chris for the comment. It's just nice hearing. We can all speculate on things. We can say we've talked to distributors. This is what we've heard. We can say we've talked to Upper Deck or Leaf or Panini or Topps. This is what we've heard, right? All those things. But to hear from somebody who works in that specific industry, I find very useful and worthy of discussion. So thanks again, Chris Olivo, for the comment. Troy, 66 football for me. Oh, for Lee Haskins. I got it. We'll see what he says. All right, guys. The next comment that I had really identified as one that I wanted to bring on. This was interesting. So this came from the episode we had on After Hours 59 with Ryan Nolan, and Carvin Chung was sitting in with us. And this was from back in early January, episode number, again, 59 of After Hours. And this comment comes from Darren Wong, and it has to do with the hobby's position on preserving cards. Not altering, not trimming, but preserving. Now, I know that's a fine line, and some people say, what's the difference? It's all the same thing. So I don't know. But let's read Darren's comment, because I thought that he added some context and maybe some clarity to the whole card conservation thing. So here's the comment. I'll zoom it as best I can. I'll read it out loud because I realize it's small. He says, creases, folds, etc. can be fixed if you have the conservation skill and equipment. Think about how paper artifacts in museums are conserved. You don't introduce anything apart from water. Of course, the type of ink and paper, etc., plays a part in what can and cannot be done. If you have a super high-end card, it might be worthwhile to bring it to a specialist to have them evaluate the condition and advise what can be done without affecting the integrity of the card. Think of it as conservation, improving its long-term stability and preservation. Example, removing stains on the card not visible to the eye that will show up in the future if left there. Not restoration. Restoration involves altering, adding things to the card to bring it back to its former condition. I'm not sure if the grading companies are operating at the same level and knowledge as museum specialists in assessing an object's condition. If you engage a museum specialist, they will provide you a detailed condition report where everything is explained. Okay, there's a lot there, a lot there to break down. But the part of this comment that I find to be really the most interesting is, first of all, where he says you don't introduce anything apart from water. So that's what he's saying in terms of conserving a card. He's not saying to, a lot of called card alterations have to do with recoloring or even building back up a rounded corner by adding stock back. I don't know how that's done. I can't even conceive it in my mind how that would be done, but it's people do it. People add paper back to the card. People recolor the card. People trim the card. These are all what I would consider to be alterations, which we as a hobby do not welcome that. We do not look favorably upon it. But restoration, Darren Wong, who obviously understands this, is saying it's different than Preserving is different than restoring. It's different from alteration because all you're bringing to the card is water. Okay, fair enough. You're only bringing water. And then he goes on to say, if you were to bring it to a specialist to evaluate what can and cannot be done without affecting the integrity of the card. Well, there's an Instagram account. I forget what it's called, like the Card Doctor or something like that, where he often shows before and afters of how he removes wrinkles and creases from cards. Well, he's somebody that you could send a card to and say, hey, what could you do to fix my card? What is the extent of how you could bring it back to its former form? How do we like that as a hobby? Do we want cards that had creases and bends that have been removed without compromising the integrity of the card? I don't know. We've talked about it before. I don't know. I think a lot of the hobby just very quickly says, no, we don't want that. But I question why not? What's wrong with bringing it back to the way it was when it came out of the pack? Because to the same extent, any card that is in a PSA slab that has a crease or a wrinkle is altered. That card was altered. Adding the crease, adding the wrinkle, rounding the corner, scuffing the surface altered the card. So if you're going to remove those or reverse that somehow without adding any element to the card except water, is that a bad thing? Is it bad to remove things or to remove a stain that, like he said in the comment, it might not be visible now, but it's going to age, and with time, just like cards go green, or autographs fade, in time that stain is going to become more visible. Is it okay then to remove it if you're not adding any chemicals to the card except for H2O? I put it out for discussion. I thought it was a really interesting comment, and I wanted to bring it up and see what the hobby thought. So let's see. Lee says my football cards are 22%. Criminal Mind says, starting to run out of paper because of overprinting. Why not discontinue some lesser popular products? Well, they would if they weren't selling, Criminal Mind, but you don't seem to really completely understand how the world works. So that's fair enough. All Valley says they use saliva in conservation too. All right, good to know. New information for me. Marcus, now we're getting somewhere. Criminal Mind, how long before we're in the hard toilet paper era again? Maybe we're already there. Could be. Justin Vick says, I wouldn't mind if conservation became more commonplace with vintage, but I believe in transparency. It is the best interest to know what has been preserved. I completely agree with that. That's a great additional comment, Justin. If a card, was preserved by removing a stain or by removing a crease that was put there by altering it in the first place by mistake or just by natural aging of the card and use of the card, sure, it would be nice to know that this card was preserved. A little qualifier even. PSA does qualifiers. What's wrong with putting a PR for preserved next to it? And then collectors could decide if they'd like it or not. Ink Paper Wax says, soak and press those Gretzky RCs. I could never bring myself to put water on any card, so I don't understand that process, and I don't want to. Mark Santucci says, creases are the sign of cards being damaged. Off center is better. What do you think? Yeah, to me, a crease is a sign of use and love and age, right? The card has been used. So, off-centering is, I agree. Off-centering, it came out of the pack that way. So there's no preserving, conserving, alteration sort of issues. Criminal Mind says, Jeremy Lee is always on the fence, never tells it like it is. I think you're just missing a screw, Criminal Mind. I just think you're not all that smart sometimes. But keep on bringing the comments. It's kind of funny. All Valley, we allow pressing in comments. Just saying. Can you fix my half missing Wagner? For sure. Ink Paper says it's accepted in the comic book world. That's well known, but it's just not in the sports card world, at least not yet. Lee says restoration of anything has been around forever, but have mostly been known restored. So for cards, not sure, right? Even books, right? First copies, you look, book experts, from what I've seen, which is mostly from Pawn Stars, they always, like that Rebecca is always talking about, like, you got to get it restored. You got to get it restored. So, those are items that are very hundreds of years old at times, but collectors are okay having them restored. Marcus says, our hobby is so young and there's so much money in it. Could you imagine if we act right and do good by the hobby? I love this hobby and seeing and it's seeing a truthful moment. Appreciate that, Mark. I don't know that I completely understand the context there. And our hobby is so young and there's so much money in it. Could you imagine if we act right and do good by the hobby? I love this hobby. Yeah, I agree with that, but I'd like a little bit more understanding where you're coming from, Marcus. Mac Attack says, I say fix them up, want the best cards in the best condition. I mean, Beckett will slab cards that have been cut from sheets after the company went out of business. They were not pack pulled. Are those trimmed? How do those, are those accepted? I mean, I don't accept them personally, but I know some people do. Again, to say, as Criminal Mind says, I never tell it like it is. I'm just open to other people's approaches. Like I'm an open-minded person. And anyway, Colin Murray says, water is used to get creases out and bleaching the card that gets by PSA or is allowed. It is a bad thing, Jeremy, because it is altered. Bleaching, I can definitely see being a bad thing. You're adding something to the card that wasn't there when it came out of the pack. But I mean, even adding water to a card, right? It wasn't there before. Is water allowed because it's water? I guess some people will be different. I think right now the hobby just doesn't want anything being done to cards. Once it's creased, it's creased. Once it's bent, it's bent. Joe says, noted as altered is important. Not noted is a little suspect. I think it's all about transparent. Yeah, agree. Transparency, very important. Lee says, a slabbed vintage card becomes more valuable as they were not altered back then. I don't understand the question. If someone else does, please give a shot at answering it. Purple Haze says, I see nothing wrong with preservation. Isn't top loaders a form of preservation? I'd call top loaders a form of storage, but it does help preserve the condition. But I think when we're talking about preservation, we're talking about doing something to the card to change its condition, not protecting it. Protecting it is what a top loader does. I think that's a bit different than preservation. Philly Joe says, it's your card. Do whatever you want to do. Just need to put into place some kind of identifier as to what was done to the card. Yeah, we are all agreeing that transparency is extremely important when it comes to anything that is being done to a card if it's going to be resold and put onto the marketplace. Unfortunately, unscrupulous, fraudulent people who want to take advantage of our hot market or our market at any time actually will not want to be transparent. And that's where experts come into play. And hopefully we have more and more of those coming along. And Perk says, if I look closely at the card and think it looks like a 10, I'm happy to own it. Once any amount of magnification is needed to find an issue, I consider that other people's problems. Again, and I understand that comment completely, because it's like grading of course, it's foundational to our hobby now. But how important is a flaw on a card that you can't even see with the naked eye that could bring it down from a 10 to a 9 or a 10 to a 9.5 or whatever? How important is it? How important is the technical grade? How important is eye appeal grade the most important thing to a card? I know when I'm shopping for a card and I know my price point, say, puts me around that PSA 3 or 4 level, I don't really care about the 3 or 4. I know I only care because that's forcing me into a certain group of cards that are on the market, being those 3s or 4s, because it's all I can afford. And the hobby has basically set it that way. Supply and demand in the hobby is set it that way. But what I'm looking for now is eye appeal. I will take a strong 3 over a weak 4 all day long, and I'll pay more for it. I will pay more for a strong 3 than I will for a weak 4. Like, think about that. How many people are willing to say that and do that? I think some people are. Some people who are buying the card, not the slab, like myself. Okay. Troy says, note to self, place more comments after the live streams to try to get red box around my comment for more Jeremy Lee stickers and Oreo cookie giveaways. There you go, Troy. Note to self. Darren says, only specialists I want touching my cards is Ben Gates and Abigail Chase. You see how they handled the Declaration of Independence? That's a national treasure joke, but I assume this smart crowd knew. Makes sense to me. Jake's Toe says, creases, scuffs, and rounded corners are patina. I like the look of old vintage cards that look like they were used and traded. Same. Yeah. See, Jake, I agree with that totally, because while I like a card that is in mint condition, or, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s type of thing are usually pretty nice cards, I also don't mind my older cards to have rounded corners and dinged edges. I don't mind that, like, especially like pre-war. I almost don't really want like near mint cards from pre 1950 sort of thing. I want the card to look like it traveled from kid to kid, that the card was loved. To me, that patina adds value. So I'm all over it. Bobby Burrell says CM has been altered. CM, yeah. I get it now. Yeah, probably born altered, Bobby. Ink Paper says the Mona Lisa is restored. Enough said. Fair. Adam Lynn says Jeremy taking the middle ground because he's a good guy. It's a big reason why we're all here. It's not because I appreciate the comment, Adam. And sure, I'm a good guy. Fair enough. But that's not why I take the middle ground. I try to look at all possible aspects of the situation. I try to look at all the different perspectives and everybody's angle. I try to walk in other people's shoes and see how people might. That's why when I'm set up at a card show, the first thing I ask you when you come to my booth is, how do you approach the hobby? What do you collect? I want to learn other ways of approaching. I want to learn other ways of thinking about things because I can't do it all in here. I'm only one set of experiences. I'm only one brain, one set of experiences, just like you all are. So the more that we can brainstorm, the more that we can learn other perspectives, the better we will be. Some people do it a lot. I try to do it a lot. I will be better for that. I will be prouder of myself for that. Other people, like CM, are just stuck in a way and are not improving as people. Lee Haskins says, I kind of think the hobby is so old, which is why it will keep going. Sports are forever. Yeah, Lee. It's like I've said, as long as there are people, there will be sports. And as long as there are sports, there will be cards. And as long as there are cards and people, there will be collectors. So the hobby's not going anywhere. Justin Vick says, preserved cards would add another layer of value. Great looking cards would command a premium. So would non-altered. There you go. Bobby says, stand in the rain with your card. Water is natural. Okay, so the fact that water is natural, maybe that makes it more palatable for hobbyists to have it preserve a card. I hesitate to use the word altered, although I am on the fence there. Which one is it? Lee Haskins says, I meant cards graded back in vintage times are more reliable as not altered because they did not alter cards back then. So Lee, I agree with that comment, at the surface level, but did they not alter cards back then? I mean, we know they did. We know that kids would cut out the borders to make them look different, but that's not what we're talking about, right? We're talking about like deceitful altering. And I don't know when deceitful altering became a thing. Was that in the 70s or the 80s? I can't see it being much earlier than the 70s and much later than the 80s. Storage is correct on top loaders. All Valley says, I agree with the strong 3 argument. I'm too impatient when buying. Lee Haskins, I bought a strong front Hank Aaron rookie card, but the back had paper loss. I like buying cards with good fronts and bad backs. Yeah, you're going to get a lower grade, so you're going to get it at a lower price, but the front of that card is going to look nice. You look at like the 51 Bowmans, the Mantle rookie, the Mays rookie. Those cards often have staining on the back. A lot of those pre-war cards have staining on the back. I don't mind that either. If that's what's going to knock the card down from a 7 to a 3 or a 4, let's say, and knock off 80% of the price, sign me up. Sign me up all day long. All Valley says vintage is an aesthetic. Yes. Well, vintage, I just find it to be so beautiful. Certain vintage cards. Oh, I just love them. Darren says, agree, vintage needs a little character to it. I'm with you. Purple Hay says, I care not about rounded corners on vintage. I care more about centering. See, and I care most about registration and focus on vintage. Centering comes second to me behind the clarity of the image. Marcus says, to keep it simple, the more people are good to each other, it will be good for our beloved hobby and investments. Be genuine. Be genuine. Good comment. Buzzy says, Jeremy's open-minded on a subject and considers information to learn more. That's exactly it. I'm open. It's being open-minded is all it is. Criminal Mind, you're a treat, Criminal Mind. You're a treat. I'm sure. Oh boy. Okay. M Perk says, Top loaders are pretty goon protection for what they are. Goon protection. I love it. They're goon protection. Well, they do a good job. Top loaders do a good job. Rich says, with a raw vintage card, cool having some rough edges or a sign of the era. But if I'm to pay a premium for a graded copy, I want it as close to how the card was intended. Example, to the index design. Yeah, fair comment. Very fair comment there. Oh, a good protection, not goon. I like the goon protection, Emperor. He corrects himself over here. And Colin Murray says, Bobby Burrell, rain won't alter the card, but if you soak the card in water to expand the paper to get creases or wrinkles out, the grate and get graded, and over time crack it out, and now it's not an 8. IMCM. Very funny, very funny. So I think what you're saying, Colin, is that if you soak a card in water, which I cannot fathom, I would lose my mind doing that. But if we're saying that that's how you get out wrinkles and creases, is you soak the card in water, who in their right mind could do that? I'm sure people can, and they know how to do it, but I'm not taking the chance. Never. Ink Paper says, this is a great day for soccer and even a better day for the soccer card industry. Pele PSA 9 card sells for over 1.3 million. Soccer's first $1 million plus card. That's great to see. And, obviously soccer has kind of overtaken hockey in the hobby as far as just volume, but hockey had its first $1 million card in December of 2020. So hockey at least beat soccer there, which makes me feel good, by about 14 months or so. Latrell Spreewell says, will you ever be bothered by a card in your collection just because it didn't grade what you wanted it to grade, and would you keep it? Well, I had that happen to me with a Crosby PMG Green. So before I get into that, I'm just going to take the comment off, take the screen off, and yeah. So yes, that's happened to me, Latrell, but I was happy to keep the card. If I'm going to grade a card, I'm going to grade it with the position that I'm going to be, or the attitude that whatever it comes back is what it comes back as. So I sent in my PMG Green 2012 Sidney Crosby from Fleer Retro, and it came back PSA authentic. And was I disappointed? Of course I was disappointed. I would have preferred a PSA 5, 6, or 7, maybe even a 4 to the authentic grade. But was I really, really upset? Not really. Like, I was happy the card was slabbed. It goes with my other slabbed cards, and I'm keeping it. And I'm not planning to, well, maybe I'll resubmit it and see if it can change, but I'm okay with that. I'm in no rush to do that. It's not going to be on my next grading submission. I'll tell you that much. I'm just happy with the card the way it is. Trevor Gates says, why does PSA not want to get cards in top loaders? I think it's just a processing issue. But good. I think with the what are the ones called? The semi-ridges. I think they can just take scissors, cut them. There's so much more extra space. Cut them open and take the card out without worrying about damaging anything. I think that's a big part to do with it. Lee says, you should do more of these lives where you just answer people's comments. Many lives do not do that. Love that you do. Thanks, Lee. And I, did it last week and doing it this week. It's really good for me to have some great comments on the videos that I can actually refer to really create the conversation. So I plan to do this more often, Lee. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. I'm with you, Purple Haze. It seems insane to me too, soaking a card in water. I'll tell you what, the next card show I'm at, which we'll be at the Mint Collective in March. We'll be hopefully in Vancouver in April, Edmonton in April, Toronto in June, and Atlantic City in August or July. We should take a little container of water and just put a creased card in there and see what happens. Like, I'm talking like a base card that's not worth anything, that no one cares about, and see what happens. We'll test that. Purple Haze, come join me. You can join me at the next card show. We'll do it together. Marcus says, who's soaking cards in water? Losers. Please tell me. Well, are they losers? I don't know. Let's not judge people based on doing that, but they might know what they're doing. There might be science behind it. Lee says, hockey got me in the hobby. I found 3 Gretzky rookies in my long-held shoebox of cards. I was a teenager in 79. Nice to find that, Lee. Definitely. Marcus, any soakers? That's what we call them. People who put cards in water, we call you soakers. Latrell says, why did the Crosby grade authentic and not a number grade? Great question. I don't know, because I've compared it to my other PMGs, like the edges, the size, it all looks the same. I didn't see any like color added, nothing. What I've heard is that some of these cards were just cut cut differently. So the sizes were different, but again, I put it up against others and I couldn't notice anything. So I don't know. Joe Sacco, welcome back. Says, do you know if any grading company will be at the card show in Toronto? I hope to meet you there too, Joe. Definitely come say hi. You'll be able to spot me much easier than I'll be able to spot you. So say hi when you do see me. And yes, I do know that there will be. I do know that PSA will have PSA Canada will be there. Brad Hartland and PSA Canada will be there accepting submissions. Beckett will be there in some form. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure KSA grading will be there again. I'm sure MNT grading, these are the Canadian companies, will be there again. So yes, there will be grading at the show. Rich says 97 watching, only 20. Guy, Rich, they're too busy. They're too busy interacting to hit that like button, guys. You're all excused from hitting the like button. But if you want to take a second and do it, that'd be great too. But Rich, I appreciate that. Thank you. Love what you collect. Next big show. I just went through them, but again, Mint Collective, Vegas, March 25th to 27th, which I'm booked on. Hoping to go to Vancouver, April 8th to 10th, I believe. Edmonton, April 15 to 17, and the Expo in Toronto, June 2nd to 5th. Will you ever visit the Chantilly show? I will try. I would love to, Latrell, and I will take you up on that beer. Thank you very much. Purple Haze, thanks for the feedback. Loving the format. Highlander says, are bubblegum stains natural? Like, that's one of those, that's a great question. That's one of those things, like, that's a stain that gets worse with age a lot of the time, right? So I don't know. To me, it comes up, to me, it is natural. Like that was part of the experience. The cards came with gum. And if that card was on the edge of the pack with the gum, I mean, I don't want that removed. I'd rather it be there and bring down the price of the card. And to me, it's a part of the history. It came out of the pack that way. That was intentional. So to me, natural. Ink Paper says, yes, PSA cuts the card savers to make it easy to get out, not damage the card. Makes sense. Bob's Big Boy says, anyone notice the lack of game used jersey relics and cards these days? Yes. Yes, I think everyone's noticing. Well, not everyone, Bob, but yes, we've learned a lot about that with National Treasures this year. Soak them in water, soak them in Kool-Aid. All Valley says, to these people, conservation is a discipline. No, I think that's right. I think it is a discipline. Because it's science. High Fades. I recently got a modern card back from PSA and they wouldn't grade it even though it was packed fresh. Odd. And that, I'm hearing more and more of this happening, not just PSA, but other companies as well. On the autograph front, especially, where the authenticator and grading companies are being more careful than ever to make sure that potential fakes or counterfeits or whatever don't get by. And I commend them for that. It means that some of us are going to get back cards that are totally natural and fine, that they're not grading because they're being over cautious. It's kind of where we're at right now. Every time a card company is called out for slabbing a fake card, they have to tighten up their controls and their policies and their processes. And I think that's just an effect of them doing it. And it sucks. And I experienced it with my Crosby PMG Green. And maybe if you feel that they missed it and that it is authentic, try again. I don't think it's them just trying to get more submissions to get more fees in. I think it's just them trying to protect themselves. Rich says, yeah, my PMG Pedersen is very small and rocks around in the one touch. So that could be one that was just cut short because it probably wasn't altered. Peep says, authentic when it looks great is just fine by me. Hand cut issue cards, for instance, often get that grade. Well, yeah, that's ones. Hand cut cards to me are cards that were not ever available out of the pack or from the manufacturer in cut condition in a pack. So like box bottoms to me are a great example. They're hand cut. And the fact that PSA will grade them, I think, is completely reasonable. And I appreciate it. And I think they're awesome cards. Purple Haze, soaking a card at a card show. Imagine the horror of the people's faces passing by. Hey, let's do it just for the reactions. Bob's Big Boy says, min size can trigger on an authentic grade, usually a manufacturing issue, and different than altered authentic. Yes, makes good sense. It's authentic might just mean that it's undersized, but that's how it was cut, and it is not altered, versus an authentic card that was altered. Ink Paper says, I soaked in boiling water a 55 Parkhurst wrestling set that was glued into a scrapbook to get them off the paper so the backs would not get ruined. They lift right off this way. Here we go. Hockey Guy saw a post today of someone having their new PMG green get kicked back as minimum size. So too small to grade. I'm glad mine came back authentic in the slab versus having to send it back and say, I want it slabbed anyway, please. Thank you, Joe Sacco. Thank you very much. Is Toronto the 31 Canada show? No, it's the Sport Card Expo, which, by the way, I'm going to throw that up right now. Here it is, guys, on the ticker. There's 2 expos in Canada this year. Steve Menzies, who owns the expo, has expanded out to Edmonton, and it will be in Edmonton, April 15th to 17th, and then the spring show in Toronto again, as always, June 2nd to 5th. It's usually in May, but with issues, he had to push that back to June 2nd to 5th, which I think will be a great time for a card show. So that is the Sport Card Expo. I'm not familiar with the 31 Canada show. Lee Haskins says, question, should I cross-grade a KSA 3 Bobby Orr to PSA? Yes, you should. That is my advice. Oh, the number 1 show. Yes, it is. The Toronto Expo is this number 2 show in the world, really. It's the second biggest show behind the National. So it's number 1 in Canada for sure, number 2 in the world, I would say. Adam Lind, every time I have to put a card in a card saver, I have that panic attack. I think PSA should be able to remove a card from a top loader. Fair, but again, this is their policy. They know what takes time and how they want to do it. And so, buyer beware. If you want to send them in top loaders, which I have done many times, and I don't think it's caused me any issues, go ahead and do it. Colin says, PSA doesn't want penny sleeves either, an extra layer of trouble handling the card, and time. This is time we're talking about as well. It seems like minute time, but their backlog is down to just over 6 million cards. That's from PSA themselves. I heard that yesterday on a podcast. They are down from PSA. They're down to just over 6 million cards. 6 million cards times half a second is 3 million seconds. Do the math. How many man hours is that? I'm not sure, but it's a lot. Sumo says, is the Mint Collective a show or a conference? It's both. It's a conference and a card show as well. Troy says, I have some Dallas Cowboys cards. You can water soak at your card show. Sounds good. FD, welcome to the show. Whose show, again, everybody, I will be on with FD tomorrow after the show. Check it out. That's the YouTube, guys, right there. YouTube.com/rollinwithFD. And by the way, FD, as I learned, you don't need the C anymore. YouTube.com/rollinwithFD, guys. Check it out. Give him a subscribe. Check out his channel. I will be on with him tomorrow for his post-Super Bowl party. And FD, great to have you. Justin Vick says, I heard today some people build sets entirely of cards with gum stains. I've never heard that, but I love it. Mark says gum stains are natural. Yes, I believe it. We got Irving Manera in the house. What is going on? My guy, one of the original breakers in the hobby from the beginning of time. And one of my favorites. Good to see you, Irving. Will you be? No, you said you're not coming to Mint Collective because you are busy in your new shop. We'll miss you. We'll miss you, buddy. Rubber Side, what cards are behind you on the shelf? Those on my slab shelf are Gretzky inserts. Those are all Gretzky inserts. That is the DJ Ski Honus Wagner. That is my Josh Allen game used shoulder patch. What's up, Irving? Latrell says, I may be in the minority, but I think an authentic slab looks great without a number because it's your PC anyway. Who cares if it gets a number? Yeah, right. Until it comes time to sell, which everyone eventually is going to dispose of their cards, even if it's just a deemed disposition upon death. But eventually everyone's going to dispose of their cards. Soak some of them in early 90s yellow baseball cards. Good one. Toa, great to see you, pal. Great to see you. Says, thank you for that. Have you seen Flip and Steve had a video about a PSA min grade 8 that got sent back, then resubs and got a 10? I haven't seen the video yet. I'm going to watch it though. Yeah, again, that's what happens when we have humans grading cards, which we do, which is probably a good thing. But it's not going to be 100% consistent. And we just have to accept it or don't accept it and stop grading cards and buying graded cards. Or complain about it and annoy people who have to hear you complain. That's another option too. Peep said, would rather an A than a miscut on the flip. Same here. Definitely. Bobby Burrell says the gum was dusted with baking powder, so most gum stains would come well after the fact. Interesting. See, again, learning. We're learning as we go because we all only know what we know. That's why it's good to have discussion. Jake says, what does PSA do with all the card savers recycled to make new ones? That's actually a more important comment than I think most of us would think on the surface. The answer is probably throw them out, and hopefully the answer is recycle, because I believe our hobby creates more waste than many industries do. And with the excessive packaging on the high-end products and all the supplies, I mean, I throw out card savers and one touches all the time. You buy a collection, you don't want them in all those gross holders. You get them. And even today, I bought 9 cards at the card show. Every one of them got a new holder because I don't want someone else's gross, old, scratched up, taped up top loaders and one touches. I want my cards to be presentable. Marcus says, soaking in boiling water, you guys are jokers. Hockey guy, there's an idea for Upper Deck. Gum stain back parallel. You probably just gave them an idea that will come out eventually, hockey guy. So, you might want to claim royalties right now. Bob says, I'm turning my booth at the National into a jacuzzi bubble bath where people can toss their dirty vintage into the suds for a nominal fee. I love it, Bob. That's great. Look forward to meeting you at the National. 5 to 10 seconds per card times 6 million cards equals a lot of time. No doubt. No doubt. Monera Irving says there's a big card show in LA in August. Is there? Good to hear. Inglorious Peace says 6 million cards in backlog at a rate of 200,000 per week. We are still 30 weeks left of backlog. True, but they also were at the height of their backlog was almost 13 million. So they've got that down by half already. So I mean, that's something. And they're still finding ways to take in new submissions, which I know annoys a lot of people who are in the backlog, but I guess they feel it's what they need to do. Holly says, what are your thoughts on KSA grading? I sometimes see some rare cards in their holders. Are the grades accurate? I mean, my thoughts are that what I see the hobby, kind of assessing or evaluating cards in not just KSA, but really any slab that isn't PSA, BGS, SGC, or CSG. Anything that I didn't just say, to me, I do not put a premium on the fact that it's in a slab. I don't put a premium at all. To me, they're like in raw condition. Although, if you are looking to buy, say you see a Wayne Gretzky rookie in a KSA 9, you're probably if that card, if you can assess it yourself and say that card is likely in mint condition and might get a PSA 9 or an 8.5 or an 8, you're probably going to be able to buy that at a good discount to what it would be worth in one of the top tier grading companies slabs. So there might be opportunities there. I'm not saying to ignore them altogether. I'm just saying that I'm not submitting my PC cards or my resale cards to anybody but the big four. Inglory says we will have cards with PSA for a year and a half. We will have cards with. If that's what it works out to, then that's what it works out to. Yes. Marcus says the FD stream tomorrow is going to be fire. Yes. Come join it. I mean, I've caught bits and pieces of FD's content over the past few months, and I'm looking forward to getting a feel for being on his show and hanging out with everybody else as well. Come check that out, guys. I'll put it on the ticker again. There's where I will be. YouTube.com/Rollin with FD tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern. I will be on with FD for about half an hour. M. Perk says, I prefer a 7 with a gum stain on the back than a 7 that is horribly centered on the front. Me too, M. Perk. I'm with you 100%. Troy says, just subbed with FD. See you tomorrow after the Bengals' first Super Bowl win. All right, Troy. See you tomorrow, and thanks for subbing to FD's channel. Yes, Ink Paper. Crack that Crosby and resub. Eventually, I can see myself giving it a shot. Bob's Big Boy says, consider grading fees for min grade and crossover attempts as a donation. There you go. I don't think PSA does not need our donations. I'm sure they are doing just fine, both top and bottom lines. Mark says, I agree about that number. It's your card raw. I agree that number. It's your card. Raw is better. It's your card. Raw is better for sure. Peep says, no joke. I collect gum cards, but the gum has to be stuck to them. I do too, Peeps. I've got 3 or 4 in my collection with the gum still stuck to them. I swear I do. I swear I do. I'll show them off sometime. FD says Burbank Sports Cards is having a big show in August in LA. Oh, very cool. Very cool. You bet, Marcus. Glad you're here. Irving says you were not aware. There you go. Check it out. You should be there. I'm going to try and get down for that too. It's unlikely. I got a wedding in August out of town as well, so it might be tough. Upper Deck never had gum. That is correct, Mark. Tops did. Oh, Peachy did. That's right. Do you have cards at PSA currently? If so, I don't. I don't, M-Perk. I have no cards at PSA. I was saving up. I've got a box of cards ready to go that I was waiting till the National in 2020 to take. That got canceled. Then I was waiting for the National in 2021. Prices were too high for me. I still have the box ready to go. I'm patient. I'm in no rush to get them graded. Eventually, I will. Lapper, welcome to the show. What is going on? Glad you're here. You can always go back and watch later. Yeah, these episodes are long, guys. I recognize it. You can always go back, watch them at 1.5 on YouTube or listen on the podcast in fast forward or in accelerated mode. That's what I do with a lot of other people's content. And also, if you haven't noticed on the channel, we are now posting short videos. We tried the clips channel. It didn't take fast enough or whatever. So we're just putting them on the main channel now. And basically a video every day from highlights from recent previous episodes. So more consumable for everybody. And just for full transparency, I am not doing that work. Someone else is doing that work for Sports Cards Live on my behalf. And thank you to them for doing it. So it is not me. I'm not picking them or anything. That's all been outsourced. So there are no supply chain issues when it comes to short clip videos on the Sports Cards Live YouTube channel. We found a way around the supply chain issues. Marcus says, I would like if everybody did what I think. Of course, we all would. Colin, my buddy cracked a KSA 8.5 and got a PSA 9. So that's a great result. I've done it several times. I've cracked PSAs to or KSAs to PSA, and I've had things go from like 9s to 7s, 5s to 3s are the ones that I recall. And I've also had one go from a KSA 8.5 to altered. KSA 8.5 came back altered by PSA. That was a kick in the groin, I tell you. Crack Card says KSA is the short bus of the hobby. Well, I'm just putting them in that second tier of grading companies, along with all the other ones that are not PSA, BGS, CSG, and SGC. Adam Lynn says, with all the graded cards hitting the market, how do you think that will skew the market? Grading was a way to create scarcity, but if people submit from the pack, it's an abundance of 8, 9s, and 10s. Well, yes, Adam, but let's keep it in context. That really is exclusive to modern and ultra modern cards, right? Out of the pack to the grading companies now. That's a newer phenomenon. So on the vintage side of things, really doesn't have much of an effect. Although there are obviously going to be vintage cards in that 6 million card backlog. Overall, we are going to see more and more slabs hit the market, and that is going to increase supply. Supply demand is this, right? They work in concert with each other. It's a law. It's not. Oh, didn't mean to do that. It's a law that is really inarguable. And so, yeah, it's cards that are, the commodity cards that were graded by, in bulk over the past couple of years that have not been released into the wild yet are going to have an effect on those prices. There's just no way around that. The only way around it is if somehow we have another influx of new participants who want to consume those cards. But I'm going to err on the side of caution and say that we are going to see prices come down on a lot of the commodity cards that are, just plentiful in the backlog. Joe Perot says FD is super cool. Well, there's a reference that I'm going to accept. Purple Haze corroborates Joe's comment. FD is good people. FD thanks them and says, I appreciate you so much. Cards printed on the gum. Well, there's an interesting variation. Toa says, I have packs of cards I opened as a kid with the cards put back in the wrapper. I forget about them and go back and reopen to rediscover them. That's pretty fun for sure. Highlanders, I'm going to start collecting only tobacco stain sets. There you go. Peeps, love the clips on the Sports Cards Live channel. It's nice and handy. I'm glad you do, Peeps. I like hearing that feedback. We'll keep it up then. And Perk, I like the daily clips on this channel, especially when somebody says something profound on a 3-hour stream that I missed. There you go. You don't have to watch the whole 3 hours. But I like to think every second of these streams provide interesting and valuable content. But I know I'm probably not doing that. Jake's Toe says, you ever crack an old GAI looking at a card that is in a GAI holder and will crack it to send to PSA? I probably have over the years. Jake, probably have, but I can't remember specifically. Peeps looking forward to FD's show tomorrow. And Rock Lake Tech says, this LA show is on August 26th to 28th in Burbank, California at the Marriott Convention Center right by the Hollywood Burbank Airport. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Costa, good to see you, pal. Thanks on the nice pickups. I saw Jim at the show today, but I don't think I saw you there this morning. But Costa opened up a new card shop in Calgary probably a few months ago now, and hope it is doing well. Costa, I came on opening day to see you, so wish you all the best with your business venture. All right, hey, we're at the bottom of the comments. Now, were there any more from the episodes that I wanted to bring up? Here, let's bring up this one. This is the last one. And this comment came from the episode of After Hours number 62 with Joe Perot, who is in the chat right now. Joe, good to see you, as always, my friend. But this comment came from Darren Wong. And this is kind of covered a lot of different things here. No, sorry, not Darren Wong. That was the last comment. This comment comes from Colin, no last name. Let's see. Pays me a compliment at first, says, I love these shorts, Jeremy. Well done. Thank you, Colin. Allows me to enjoy snippets from the big show. Goes on to say, it will be fascinating to see how the hobby evolves. I suspect fanatics will bring new customers into the hobby, which is great. Well, that's good for this whole, slab gate, tsunami of slabs that's about to happen, I should say. He goes on to say, lots of competition amongst middlemen like eBay and auction houses is great. He says, I agree that eBay fees are more than generous. I made the comment that I don't find eBay fees to be punitive at all. I think eBay fees are fair. Say what you will, but I don't have an issue with them. He goes on to say, one only needs to compare eBay fees to those paying the massive fees through Heritage, for example. I don't think he's picking on Heritage. He's basically picking on the 20% buyers and sellers premiums that are added by all the auction houses. Anyway, he says, only need to compare that to the fees through auction houses or the pain of doing Facebook deals. We are fortunate as collectors. There is such a liquid market, and I think it will get better. Hopefully, time and education will make it more challenging for the scammers, but who knows? So, kind of covered a few things there. I thought it was a nice comment, a good outlook. So, we'll see if you guys have any feedback on that comment at all. If not, that is totally fine. Oh, you just got eye surgery. Hope you recover quickly there, Costa. No wonder I didn't see you at the show today. Darren, which card are you rooting for tomorrow? Your Burrow or your Stafford? 300 yards and 3 TDs for each sounds all right. That's a great question. Which one am I rooting for? I'll be honest with you. So, Darren, if you just got here late, Darren is referring to these two cards that I bought today. Rookie cards of both Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow. Went against my rule of buying cards at the height of their hype, but I did it for 5 reasons, which you can find earlier on this episode or on my Instagram page. Here's my answer. And I don't know I don't know. I don't have an answer, but here's my answer without giving you an answer. Whichever is better for the hobby, because I care about the hobby more than I care about the sport of the NFL. I care about the hobby more than I care about the NFL. So I'll put it out to you guys. I'm going to guess that Joe Burrow will be better for the hobby to have him win the game tomorrow. If that's the case, then I'm hoping for Joe Burrow. But I do like the Matt Stafford story. Had to get into a position where he had a team around him that he could win with and then lead them there. So I'd like to see him win. I'll be happy for both teams. I'll be happy for both guys. But whichever one is better for the hobby, that's where my vote will go. Colin says, eBay is cheap. There's no bigger platform. Right. I mean, you're getting millions of eyeballs on eBay or however many your listing generates, but it's probably more than any card show, any other platform out there, including Instagram and Twitter and, the big ones, YouTube and all that. But no bigger platform. Like it's right there. If you want to open up a card, I kind of look at it compared to like rent. If you're paying rent to have an LCS, you're paying a few $1,000 a month probably just for your rent. I mean, those are fees you're paying to do business. eBay is providing you with a platform. It's like I think some people in the hobby, think it should be free. I'm not, obviously not everybody, but some people have this sense of entitlement that eBay should just, businesses should offer their services for next to nothing, but they won't have businesses if they do that. So they have to find that right balance. Marcus says the sport that realizes that media and media exposure is the right way now is the sport that makes the way, period. Yeah, I agree with that comment. I think that's one of the reasons why hockey is behind, because the NHL is not very good at marketing. Justin Vick, I think eBay fees are reasonable given the global audience. Adam Lind, regarding eBay fees, you get a massive audience and can sell the cards with your own marketing and description. Mark says Fanatics will bring a younger audience. Bobby says they did put players on gum back in the 60s. I wonder how they tasted. Card Collector says, how are the monthly shows in Calgary? Haven't been able to. They're all right. They're all right. Criminal Mind says, Jeremy just said eBay fees are fair, 13%, LOL. Jeremy just proves my point. Never tells it like it is. You're just an idiot. Muted. Keep both. They are great. I'm going to keep both, Marcus. I'm going to keep both for sure. For sure. The Stafford, is this from 2009? If that's his rookie year, then it is. It is 09. It is the Topps Finest. It has the rookie card logo. And look at this card. I mean, it's a refractor. This is the nicest refractor effect I think I've ever seen on a refractor. Like, I just can't get enough of looking at this card. It's like the surface is like liquidy. It's just beautiful. This is a nice card too. The pink prism. I really like the shininess of these cards together. Really happy with them. Troy says Stafford card has better eye appeal versus Bro. Agree. But I'd take them both nice. Love your eye. Thank you, Troy. Had fun making it. Darren says, I don't have your cards, but do have rooting interest on both sides. Should be a good one. I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. I mean, it's a Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to the game because I'm looking forward to rolling with FD's Super Bowl party afterwards. I'm looking forward to talking about. I'm looking forward to watching Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford play in the teams. I'm looking forward to seeing a good game of football for sure. Philly Joe says eBay is great. I have no problem. And Perk, I just think that for the service eBay provides, 5 to 7 would make a lot more sense than 13 to 15. I mean, fair enough to throw an alternative rate out there that is obviously lower because you want to pay less. But what is it? When you say for the service that eBay provides, you think it would make a lot more sense. Why? Like, why? How do you land at 5 to 7? It would be my question. I'm not arguing with you at all. I mean, I would way rather pay 5 to 7%. But is that going to be enough for them to pay their monthly nut to keep the business rolling? I don't know. Marcus, if any sport gets social media right, they win. So simple. Please call me. Jake's toe. Jeremy just told it like I hope so. If you don't listen, if you don't like my takes, if anybody watching doesn't like listening to me, please don't watch. No one's forcing you to click in here, obviously. But for those of you who like to engage and find value in this, then please don't stop watching. I enjoy it as much. Costa says Burrows and Chase cards will go up. Mac Attack, we're not going to even address that. Adam Lynn says, I collect vintage WWF cards. Sometimes I buy them on other platforms and sell on eBay just so I can describe them and tell the next person why the card is significant. Educating people. I like it, Adam. I like it. Colin says some items are 5 to 7%. It's 13% for the first 2,500, then 2% after that. Good point. Good point. It's a bit of a staggered fee model. Joe says it could be a big moment for Odell Beckham Jr. So there could be several players whose cards are affected. And I always wonder which is going to have an effect on the overall hobby. I feel like it's Joe Burrow. Well, Joe Burrow winning will be better for the hobby overall. Again, I'm not an NFL pro. I don't follow the markets of Joe Burrow or Matt Stafford, although I did see with Tim Getch on the show last week what Joe we looked at. We saw a snapshot of the market, but I don't follow it very much. Card Collector, lots of kippers still for you. Reach out on IG. Marcus says, whoever wins tomorrow is going to be great. One of the best Super Bowls is the 56. I'm excited to watch it. Craig Booge says, sell on my slabs if you do not like the eBay fees. Smaller audience, lower selling price. There you go. There's the way to, there's a great comment, Craig. And I put it to people who don't think that who thinks that eBay's fees are out of line. So do an experiment. Take 3 cards of each. Take 3 cards here and the same 3 cards here. Sell 3 on eBay. Sell 3 on my slabs, and see where you get more money netted after fees. Nothing against my slabs. I mean, do that and then go with the one that makes the most sense for you. I have nothing bad to say about that. You do what works for you. Highlander says, I don't care how long it takes PSA to get my cards out safely and securely. That's what I'm paying for. Card savers give me Freddy Krueger type dreams. Yeah, I don't like card savers very much either. They're too flimsy, right? I mean, so easy to bend a card. I like top loaders. I just like the rigidity of the top loader. And then also, I'll just say as well, I'm like you with this, Highlanders, whereas when I submit cards for grading, I want them back as soon as I can get them, but I'm willing to be patient. I'll wait the year because I'm the cards I'm sending for grading, I'm not looking to flip. They're staying in my PC. I hope they're safe. I feel like I hope, or I know I'm going to get them back. So I'm willing to be patient. I like that. Yeah, it's different teams in the Super Bowl, which is nice to see. Jeremy S. says, is everyone getting ready for the new season of F1 on Netflix? Oh, I can't wait for that. Perfect timing for F1 in the hobby. Then the season starts. Yeah, F1's probably going to blow up, and I'm going to enjoy it, mostly as a fan, picking up the odd card here and there. Costa says, I don't care who wins. Glad it's not Mahomes. Fair enough. Purple Haze says, whoever wins tomorrow, it won't be the Major League Baseball. Joe Perot, definitely rooting for Burrow. Not sure they can get her done, but even if Burrow has a solid game, the hobby will benefit. I think so. With on my very, very undeveloped sort of insight into it. Marcus says Stafford would be a great story, but Joey B is so true. Oh, there are going to be people crying tomorrow, one way or another. Mark says I like Super Bowl Raiders and Vikings. And Jake's toe, 13% on a $100 card ain't much. 13% on $100,000 is a bit excessive. And it's not, as was told by Colin Murray before, it's not 13% on a $100,000 card. The rate comes down as you pass. I think it actually maxes out at some point too, I believe. All right, good stuff. So we've got through the comments that I wanted to address. We've got through the comments in the chat. We have over 100 people in here, and it is 1:45 on the East Coast in the morning. Darren says, good experience with my slabs. Bought a Wander Franco, easy back and forth negotiating. Came within a week of purchase. I'll go back again. Nice that they only sell slabs. That's good to know. Colin says the eBay fee maxes at $5,000, which is 5% on $100,000, not 13. So 5% falls right into the 5 to 7% that Colin, that M Perk shouted out earlier. So there you go. It is 5% for all intents and purposes when you get past a certain point. And Highlander says, I agree. Gum or tobacco stain was a part of the process, so it's natural. I'm nostalgic for the gum too. I love the taste of that gum. So do I. I wish someone would make it and I would buy it. Me too. M Perk predicts Rams 31, Bengals 20. And by the way, speaking of gum, what do you guys think of this? This is gum from 1979. This is from those Three's Company packs that I opened a few of them on the show last week. I opened the rest of them a few days ago, and I kept all the gum. I'm not eating it. Not all at once anyway, that's for sure. Maybe one at a time. But this gum is 43 years old. That is older than about 50% of the people watching right now. I just had to think to the analytics or the demographics of the viewers of this show. This is 43-year-old gum. And if I can keep it intact, even though I'm touching it, I might make it available at a card show coming soon. You've never sold one that high? Me neither, Jake. Me neither. Card Collector says, how do you think the expo in Edmonton will be? I think it's going to be awesome, man. If you're a man. Oh, you are a man. You're Card Collector 1998. Yes, I think it's going to be. I'm going to be there for sure. I'm going to be there setting up and everything. I can't wait. And Edmonton shows are always good. The Edmonton market is the second best card market in the country to Toronto. And that says a lot for me to say that because I live in Calgary and, we're rivals with Edmonton. So, but I give them credit. The Edmonton market is great. I know a lot of people from the East are already planning to come out. It's going to be an expo. It's going to be unlike anything we've seen, I think, at Edmonton before. Toa just sold the CSG Joel Embiid rookie on My Slabs. Couldn't recommend their site more. There you go. Shoutouts for My Slabs. Lapper says, people ripping on eBay. eBay's problem could be reiterating that their value add, but it should be easily understood. I have 3.5 million impressions on my cards equals more sales. Someone got an alternative. Fair comment. Toa sent the gum to PSA. Put the gum up on eBay. I should put it on eBay. I bet it would sell. Bob's Big Boy says, Stafford's story is not a great story. Rams were in the Super Bowl in 2018. Cup is out with a torn ACL. No Jalen Ramsey on the team. Burrow is more integral to team success for his team. See, thanks for setting me straight. I'm not a pro. I do not know much about these guys. I just know that it seemed like Stafford. I mean, he was hot when he was a rookie. He's been around. He just doesn't seem to have ever had success. So I don't know if that's based on him or the team. Vintage gum. Mystery packs. Put a piece in there. I should, Jake. I should. You're looking up the Threes Company cards now. Well, here's the set. I kept the card that shows what the puzzle looks like. I think I came one card away in those packs to the complete set. Missing card number 25, but got all but card number 25 here. Fun stuff. If you eat that gum, it'll cost 100K medical bills. I ate 2 pieces last week. You're right. When you say it looks brown, not pink, you're not wrong. It is no longer pink. It's almost a flesh tone now. Look at that. It looks the same color as my skin. It's called flesh tone. You should inhale that gum with your big nose. That's your best comment of the day, Criminal Mind. And bang on. Very factual. Very factual. Troy says, great show with Nick and great after hours. Have a great night. Thank you, Troy. Good to see you as always. Purple Haze, if you soak that gum in water, it will restore it. Maybe we'll try that. MJ Flipper says, don't let scammers get a hold of the gum. It will destroy it. Fair. Colin says, it would sell. Everything sells on eBay. Too good. Joey B is LA. Joe Burrow is not LA. He's Cincinnati, I'm pretty sure. I got number 25 on eBay for a sale. Buy it now, $100,000. There you go. All right, guys. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Even you, Criminal Minds. Even you. Maybe you will learn something here one of these days. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining. I will address the final comments as I'm talking through this. Check out Rollin' with FD tomorrow night, guys. Super Bowl party. I'll be on with him at 9:30 Eastern. No collectible live tomorrow due to Super Bowl. Next week on Sports Cards Live is the PWCC Premier Auction ending, extended bidding, watch party with Adam Gray, and possibly, I believe, Jesse Bro Craig from PWCC will be joining us as well. So that will be fun as it always is. I don't know. That's about all I got for tonight. Latrell Spreewell says, Criminal Mind is a troll. Great show, Jeremy. Troll means you've made it big time. Thank you, Latrell. I appreciate that. Darren says, most people chew gum. Jeremy eats it. Yes, he ate it that week. I did eat it. There was no chewing to be done. It disintegrates in your mouth. Thank you, Purple Haze. Thank you, Costa. Same to you. Good night, Philly Joe. Jake's Toe, always great to have you. Jeremy S., thank you. Adam Lynn, thank you. Albert Jones, thank you for your time and spending it with us tonight. All Valley, good to see you. Tony Sin, I appreciate that. Solid show. I will take it. Purple Haze, we'll see you on FD's channel tomorrow. Darren Hogan, good to see you. Thanks again. Willie T, that gum looks trimmed. Good comment. Comment of the night right there, everybody. That gum looks trimmed. Bob's Big Boy, Super Trout, paid $10K to get a trout update grade with PSA. Wow. Barry Ma, good to see you from ComC. Autograph the gum sticks and give them away. That's not a bad idea because everybody wants my autograph on a piece of gum. Marcus says, take a chill pill tomorrow. Yes, I'm going to. I got a day off of almost a day off of content if it wasn't for FD. Purple Haze, thank you. Glad you like it. Buzzy, thank you. Mark, thank you. FD, thank you. Lapper, thank you. Hockey Guy, thank you. Go Stafford. Good night, Alf. Cheers to you, M. Perk. Jeff Eklund, good to see you, and good night. And with that, this was fun, everybody. We'll be doing it again. Have a great night. Enjoy Super Bowl tomorrow. See you on FD's channel, and have a great week ahead. This episode is now over.